Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our January 28, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. Okay, I call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please call roll?
Commissioner Knighton?
Here.
Commissioner Ramirez? Here. Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Vice Chair Holler?
Here.
Chair Madrid?
Here. Well, Cass, and you're the only one in the audience, so can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Stand if you're able and place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to presentations. Legislation 4.1, legislation update. The Assistant City Attorney, please present.
Thank you, Chair. So we've done this a few years in a row now. IT, will you please bring up the presentation? So this presentation is meant to be a brief overview of some of the new housing laws that we will have to implement between staff and the Planning Commission and City Council. Fair warning, with a lot of these, we're still all trying to figure out how to implement them. As you know, whenever the state passes housing legislation and whatnot, there's always more ambiguity than they anticipated. And of course, with our city working with a lot of developers and whatnot, we're here to facilitate all of that as well as comply with any state laws that we are mandated to comply with.
So may I tell those watching that what you're saying is we don't necessarily agree with what we're mandated to do? But
I am not a policymaker.
That's not the subject. That's one thing.
Yes. We're here to just review the law, implement it, and do what we're supposed to do while ensuring that we comply with the city's general plan and the city council's policy directions.
Thank you.
All right, so there are a few slides. I will go through them pretty quickly just so that you have a general understanding. And of course, as projects that come before the Planning Commission, you may hear, actually some of these bills are already we have projects in the pipeline related to some of these bills already. The first is AB 130, which exempts certain housing development projects from CEQA. And so first of all, what you've noticed in the past few years is more and more projects, housing development projects, are being carved out from CEQA requirements because they're being considered for administrative approval or affordable housing or something like that. So rather than overhauling CEQA, the state legislature is just kind of poking holes in it. And so this is one of those. And here it requires the residential project to have, the project has to be at least 2/3 residential. So could it be mixed? It could be mixed use, no more than 20 acres on a site that was previously developed with an urban use. So this kind of fits in more with kind of a general idea of infill. Now the definition of urban might not align with what a typical person might consider urban. If you recall, some of the state laws defining urban areas also includes the city of Menifee. I think it really only excludes some of the very, very remote towns out in the far desert and whatnot. So for purposes of these housing projects or housing laws, we are considered urban. It has to be surrounded by urban uses. It has to be consistent with the general plan zoning and specific plans, at least 15 units per acre, so pretty medium density, medium to high density, so you're really not gonna get single family housing. No environmentally sensitive or hazardous sites, no demolition of historic structures, and nothing for transient lodging, so no hotels or motels, right? This is very directed toward kind of housing. And of course, there still has to be requirements to consult with Native American tribes, which we have several around here, and meeting prevailing wage or skilled and trained workforce requirements, depending on the project. And those provisions are similar to what we've had in the past with AB 2011, allowing affordable housing in commercial and retail zones, and I believe it was, I can't remember what Senate bill it was, but similarly. You're also getting a lot of these streamlined projects or residential projects have these prevailing wage or skilled and trained workforce requirements too. So you'll see a trend there. Next is SB 131, CEQA near miss. And this essentially allows residential projects that are not exempt under CEQA to qualify for an exemption if the reason why they didn't initially qualify was because of just one factor. So CEQA has a variety of exemptions, and you have to meet a list of requirements, and sometimes somebody's just, again, there's a near miss because they don't meet one particular requirement. This bill allows them to only analyze that portion, right, under the EIR, under CEQA, so that they can qualify for the exemption. So again, making it easier for residential developments in the city. Okay, SB 79, streamlined developments. Again, development projects for residential are, the state is creating a lot of mandates to make it as easy as possible for a lot of developers to come in and build residential housing, residential developments. This bill is not effective until July 1st. And this is for transit-oriented housing developments. There are certain requirements. It depends on which parts of the city, and that could change over time depending on, which areas of Menifee have more transit. And so as you can see here, there's a lot of requirements for what is, how close they are to a transit stop, what was in that location before. I guess what I'm trying to say is that similar to other housing development bills, they're trying to make it easier and faster for developers to build near areas that are already high trafficked, right? High traffic zones, a lot of these big corridors. And that's typically where you're going to get, public transit, buses, light rail, et cetera. Okay. This is just additional requirements for that. And as I mentioned, there are some exemptions for CEQA that a project under SB 79 can qualify for, depending on, what kind of affordable units they have.
Ty, quick
Yes?
question on that. Is there any parcels in Menifee that are considered transit-oriented? Maybe just downtown? There's a bus, does a bus stop, is that considered transit-oriented?
No.
We really don't have a transit-oriented.
Yeah, we don't. Not yet. And I think that is where, this will apply more, I think, in a lot of places like LA or like in Riverside where you have, if you have the rail line. But if, because the city of Menifee doesn't run our own bus lines, right? So whoever the entity is that does that, they're going to be able to make those decisions. Well, they don't make the decisions, but what their decisions are will impact the developments in our city.
In other words, if the Paris line comes to Menifee, then that's the only thing that could happen around here.
Mm-hmm.
If I can add, actually, the specific plan, Menifee Valley specific plan, we do have set aside property to eventually have a stop there once that line gets extended. So that could potentially will be a site.
IT, will you please bring back the slide? Thank you. So AB 893, so updating the definition of property or site. So this is one of those cleanup bills. So as the state passes these housing bills, they use words pretty loosey-goosey, and then developers or interested parties or cities will define things maybe differently in a way that is most beneficial to whatever their position is. And in this case, the bill defines a site to be the area that's, quote, physically disturbed by construction for the project. And so because of the way that it's defined, including with that definition is also elimination of certain setback requirements for first floor properties or the first floor of certain properties, as well as for parking. there's going to be, I think, as we pass or as the state passes more and more bills, there are these fights. HCD gets, complaints. They issue some type of response or guidance letter, and then the state goes and tries to do a cleanup. That's kind of the cycle that we've been in the last, I think, 10 plus years. And we're going to continue to see that because recently Governor Newsom, for the 2026 cycle, has made it very clear that housing is top priority for him.
So what does it mean here when it says buildings must abut within 10 feet of the street, not the right-of-way?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I'm so sorry. It is. Yeah, we also, if you recall, we had to we faced a lot of these issues with the ADU laws. I think there was probably like every year for like 3 or 4 years back to back, we had new ADU laws just trying to clean up what they were trying to tell us. And in some cases, it was the difference between, a semicolon or a period or a comma, because that did affect how, we were interpreting those laws. All right, SB 489. Just online list of requirements for project streamlining. Currently, cities are already, we have a list of what developers need to submit in order to submit a project or get a project approved. This just requires that we put it online. And this is about, again, making the process easier, clearer, more upfront, so you don't have multiple, more delays, right? Or saying, hey, now we need X, and then we need Z, and then we need 1, 2, 3. It's just trying to put it all up front so that everybody knows what playing field they're on. This one was pretty interesting. I'm curious how our planning and building will feel about this, but AB 253 allows for third-party licensed building plan checkers for homeowners and developers if they believe that the city will take longer than 30 days to conduct that review. So they would have to have a professional do that, and the city would have to prepare resident permit fee schedules and post those schedules. I don't know how this this would impact the city.
Well, obviously, our turnaround times are within the 30 days, so we don't have this issue. I think this issue probably applies more to counties that are having difficulties meeting the turnaround within the 30 days. So I don't anticipate this being an issue with us.
Yeah, this was just a really interesting workaround that, I just thought it was really curious. I feel like it creates an incentive for certain plan checkers to approve items and just be known throughout the community for being very lenient, I guess. So, excuse me, AB 712, yes?
So then, does that mean the city wouldn't have to go and check?
That's correct. They're basically saying, city, you're too slow, so I'm going to hire this third party, this qualified professional to do the check. And then they'll have to submit to the city somehow.
If I can add, we actually do provide that service already. So we do have consultants that help us do plan checking because we're overwhelmed with plan check submittals. So, but we manage that consultant, and those plans get filtered through us. So that already exists to some extent, but this is something different when someone can just go out on their own and hire someone to plan check their own plan or the plans. Yeah.
Hey, Ty,
Yes?
AB 253, is that due to the Palisades fire?
I don't know. I'd have to look into it. I can see how that's possible, although it seems very, I guess I don't know. That could be a reason. Although if that's the case, it seems like they could have limited it to areas that had emergencies or whatnot. But the idea that it's applying to the entire state seems quite broad.
Ty, you don't.
That's what they do.
True.
So Ty, you don't show the author of these bills.
Would you like me? I can also add
Yeah, I'd
that.
like to see the authors.
Okay.
Probably Wiener's got like 5 of them.
He did. Wix also has a few of them. I can update the PowerPoint. We can update that.
Thank you.
Update that. Okay, AB 712, attorney's fees for housing reform laws. I'm sure the California Bar Association lobbied for this. Essentially, if a party is suing a city for failing to comply with housing reform laws under certain definitions, that would include something like, SB 330, AB 2011, all of these laws that were passed to make housing development easier. Now they can get attorney's fees for it, in addition to any type of fines and fees that HCD or the state may be able to impose on a city. So we might see more litigation coming is what we're thinking. Okay, AB 1007, reduced timeline for approval of projects under permit streamlining. So here, again, making things faster, making it easier for developments, reducing the approval denial period from 90 days to 45 days. That is, I would say, pretty quick, especially because a lot of the laws require us to be extremely comprehensive. We have to raise issues in total within that time period, and anything that we forget or miss or don't require of the developer after that time period, we cannot bring up again. So this does, in my opinion, really raise a lot of burden or increase a lot of work for city staff because it is a quick time, turnaround. Oh, and by the way, I just want to state, it doesn't clarify whether it's a calendar days or work days, so it's going to be calendar days. Okay, AB 1021 accepts housing from local educational agencies from CEQA. I wasn't sure about adding this, but I do know we have the community college in town. And so there have been a slew of laws that make it easier for religious institutions as well as educational institutions to build housing on their properties. And so this is one of them, to exempt those housing and developments from CEQA. And also qualify for density bonus. Okay, SB 92 density bonus law updates. So density bonus law, as you know, already allows for if a developer builds a certain number or percentage of affordable housing, they can receive waivers, incentives, and concessions in order to facilitate that affordable housing development. And so here, I think the interesting provision is it states that a concession or incentive shall not result in a proposed project with a commercial floor area ratio that is greater than 2.5 times the premises' current allowed base zone commercial floor area ratio. So I think what they're trying to get at is they really want it to be a residential housing development, but still allow for commercial. I think it's just to clarify for some of our development projects because we don't want to get rid of all of the commercial floor area. So I think that'll be interesting. I think also what you're seeing is a lot of these housing development legislation are going toward mixed use. You do have 100% residential, usually for affordable housing, but I think more and more cities are pushing for mixed use, and that's what you're seeing them try to accommodate in the state. All right. Okay, updates to RENA, just a couple things here. So when adopting a new housing element, cities must include information regarding potential constraints and limitations that we can anticipate adopting in the first 3 years after the housing element cycle. So this will be interesting because now, in addition to actually doing the housing element itself, we have to have a section or something like that talking about, well, these are some policies or ideas that we might want to look into in the next 3 years. That will require a lot of long-term planning. But I think that is, again, trying to put information up front for developers so they can see what to anticipate, what to expect. And then SB 507, that might be more applicable to our city because it would allow tribal nations to count new tribal housing developments toward a city's RENA.
Okay, I don't really understand how that works. So that means if Pachanga built something, we could count it towards our arena numbers?
If it's within the city boundaries.
But they're dependent sovereign nations, so I don't know how they could be within city boundaries. And by the way, you can handle dependent sovereign, not me.
Yes. I do not deal with tribal law, but this is just the way that the law is allowing us to count toward the arena number. And I'm sure somebody in the
Well,
state was fighting for it.
We do have property that it's owned by Pachanga within the city limits. So I don't know if
Yeah.
we do. Yeah.
So, but it's not in trust. I would assume it's not in trust.
No, so just within the boundaries of the city. And I think that's where the state is saying, hey, if it's within the boundaries of the city, you can count it if you want, if you enter into an agreement. I can imagine like Temecula, they have, Pachanga has a lot of land over in Temecula, although most of it is lodging for like hotel use, but that could be it. Obviously, I think in some, whether it's by the hotels and things like that, if they build any housing, that's where those cities would benefit.
Didn't all that new housing that's against the hill in Temecula, I think that was owned by Pachanga, wasn't it?
I don't know.
No? Okay.
I don't know. Updates to ADUs. No parking standards allowed for ADUs of 500 square feet or less. Eliminates occupancy requirements for JADUs if the JADU has sanitation facilities separate from the primary dwelling unit. So if you recall, one of the updates to ADUs and JADUs was that ADUs no longer require owner occupancy, but JADUs do. This changes that if there is separate sanitation facilities. But JADUs still must be rented longer than 30 days. And then clarification for ADUs and JADUs that requiring the JADUs not to be more than 500 square feet of interior living space. And then AB 1050, something we are already dealing with, is a property purchaser. Let's say they own a property or they buy a property that has CCNRs that limits the property's use for affordable housing or residential development in general. They can, by following a process with the county, remove that restriction from the CCNR. So for example, if you own a property that has only retail allowed, you might be able to, if you go through the county, through a process with the county as outlined in the legislation, remove that limitation in order to build residential. The CCNR, that portion of the CCNR.
Override the city.
Well, the CCNRs are, well, yes, that would override this in some ways. The city does not enforce the CCNRs, but if there were some limitations, well, if the area is zoned for both commercial and residential, and the CCNRs limits and does not allow residential, then this would allow the developer to get around that. It doesn't speak to the zoning of whatever is allowed. But then, as you know, with other laws, AB 2011 or any of these other laws, they can still build residential in areas that are not zoned for residential, if it's zoned for retail or commercial or offices. And that is it. That is it. Basically, the outline every year is always there are more laws, mandates from the state that the city and city staff are looking to apply. A lot of these work in conjunction with each other. A lot of these are, you're not in the days of using one bill to get the project done. It's really a combination of a variety of them to pick a parcel that they like or they own, and finding all these different puzzle pieces, putting them together to get a project that fits. And this is something that I know, for example, the League of California Cities obviously will often lobby against some of these because of issues of local control. But these are the mandates we have from the state. And a lot of it, we won't know the full impact until it is being implemented in different cities. There have been bills in the past where we thought would be a big issue that haven't really been an issue, and others that kind of sneak in and then suddenly everybody's doing it. And that's kind of the forecast we have going forward.
I would like just to make maybe a couple of comments. One is, Ty gave you just a taste of what these bills are. In 5-6 weeks, when we go to the Planning Commission, the committee, I'm sure they're probably going to go over those again, and they're going to give us a more detailed explanation of those bills. And just as an FYI, we're already talking to developers to take advantage of AB 130 and SB 131, which is the CEQA exemptions on some of those properties that do meet those requirements. So there's interest, and obviously there's value in these bills because it's making the process go a little bit faster because of the CEQA component.
Thank you, Ty. Thank you, Orlando. Okay, let's move on to item number 5, agenda approval or modifications. Are there any modifications to the agenda?
There are none.
Okay. Can I ask the Planning Commission for an all in favor to approve the agenda?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the agenda is approved. Moving on to number 6. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on non-agenda items?
No requests to speak.
Great. I have to read the next paragraph then. Okay, let's move on to number 7. There is one set of minutes for the Planning Commission's approval. Does the Planning Commission have any modifications? Okay. Could I ask the Planning Commission for an all in favor to approve the November 12, 2025 minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, the minutes are approved. Okay, moving on to number 8. There are no consent calendars items. Number 9, there are no public hearing items. Okay, let's go to number 10, discussion items. 10.1, Planning Commission 2026 meeting schedule. This is item 10.1. Madam Clerk, could you please introduce this item?
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and staff. As you all know, the Planning Commission meetings take place on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. However, later in the year, there are some schedule conflicts with the holidays, so staff is recommending we cancel the November 11th, 2026, November 25th, 2026, and December 23rd, 2026 Planning Commission meetings.
Great. Okay.
Chair, if I can add one more thing, and I apologize, Rachel, for not bringing this up earlier. We do have the Planning Commission's Academy, where it actually falls in the Planning Commission date as well, which is March 11th. So I would recommend that we add the March 11th meeting as well.
Good call, Orlando. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff? No, okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. So, what's that? We need a motion. We need a motion?
Yeah, we can do an electronic vote on that.
Okay. Well, I hadn't gotten there yet. So clerk, are there any public comments? You say no?
There are none.
Commissioners, have comment or discussion? So can I get a motion and a second to approve this item?
And then, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that passes. Okay, so now we're going to move on to 10.2, selection of chair and vice chair. This is item 10.2, Madam Clerk. Could you please introduce this item?
Yes, so per our municipal code, the Planning Commission is required to nominate a chair and vice chair every calendar year. So with that, tonight, we are selecting the chair and vice chair for 2026.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions for staff? Okay. If there's no public comments. Commission, is there any discussion for nomination of chair?
I have a nomination. Oop, sorry.
Okay.
Didn't mean to be dramatic there.
It was.
I like to nominate Ivan as the commissioner, as the chair of the commission.
I second that.
And then, are we doing the co-chair already, or no? Do we have to
Well,
take a motion?
let's get a motion and a second to nominate the chair.
So that was for Commissioner Holler to be chair.
Correct.
Okay.
There we're going to do this, okay.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Chair Holler.
And then for vice chair.
Does that introduce you? Does that mean you introduce the next item?
Going into effect the next meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay, guys, I want to ask for a motion and a second to nominate the vice chair.
I make a motion to nominate Michael as the vice chair.
Okay. Second. Okay. Yay.
As exciting as the Republican or Democratic National Convention, right?
Yeah.
We just don't have the signs out here.
That passes unanimously, so congratulations,
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. As
This chair was so comfortable.
yeah, I know. As clerk said, chair and vice chair will be effective next meeting. Okay, let's move on to item number 11, the Community Development Director comments, one of my favorites. Community Development Director, do you have any updates or comments?
Just one comment. I know that, at the end of last year, we ended the year with maybe not too busy agendas. The projects are coming, and the next few meetings will be a little bit more busy, so we'll make sure that you guys are busy with reading material. So just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you, Director. Michael, do you have any reports on committee activities?
I didn't bring them.
Any others? Chris? Ivan? No? Tammy? Okay. Too many to tell.
I have one, I guess it could be after this. It's kind of affects cities. I don't know if anyone saw, but the staff probably knows about it, but they get collecting signatures right now for the constitutional amendment in California about passing taxes now has to have a 2/3 vote. They tried it last time, it didn't pass, they're doing it again now. And the reason it has an effect is it says if the existing assessment districts that they're usually passed with a 50% vote, aren't updated within 2 years, they become null and void. So this is going to change how we as property owners, our assessments maybe. So just something interesting to think about. I don't know if staff has any comment on that. I think it'll pass, but it's an interesting financial, no. Ty's shaking your head no. So.
It's not agendized,
Oh, okay.
but there's nothing to discuss right now, but I have done presentations on the last ballot initiative, and it would have extremely detrimental effects on not just cities and counties, but also all public agencies, including water districts, special districts, sanitation districts, because it requires a very detailed analysis, pass-through of direct costs. And the definition of what that means is extremely stringent and could greatly affect public services.
So keep an eye out for the news. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for that. Okay, now we're moving on to the all-important number 13, future agenda requests from planning commissioners. I'd like to ask the planning commissioners before I ask for a future agenda. I'm noticing in public comments, every time they come, like you saw in the Menifee 24/7, the comments, people says, yeah, planning commission's making a mess out of approving anything commercial, warehouse or whatnot. And every time it's brought up, people are always naysayers for. So what I'd like to do is two things. I'm thinking, remember when Commissioner David Brown, remember he came up, or Black came up, White. Yeah, he came up with why are the gas stations, that's another item. Why are there so many gas stations? Why are there so many car washes? And you came out, Orlando, with a great explanation and a table showing. Could you bring that up again? Reintroduce that that's been about 3 years? Because people are still asking that question, do we need another car wash? Well, yeah, we do, because people are using them. So anyway, I'd like to get that explanation out. And then also, maybe talk about the benefits from the city's standpoint, not the planning commission's standpoint, but the city's standpoint, and why we make the decisions we make. What do we base our decisions on? All the CEQA, your comments, everything that they question is in our packet. So so I basically what I'm asking is, do we want to ask for a future agenda item for warehouses and commercial and gas stations and car washes?
About kind of if there's ER type of discussion.
A factual, because if you remember when Orlando brought up, when David White said, how come there's so many gas stations? And then Orlando came up with a table, and it showed that it's because of where we're at in development. It's lopsided, it seems, because right, Orlando? Certain areas weren't developed yet. So I just like people to, if they listen or somehow see the reasoning behind, that's not to talk them into it. Let them make their own, of course you make your own decision. But it's bothersome to me when I see, I saw it today. If you look on 24/7, you see the comments. Yeah, planning commission's messing everything up. Well, that means you're messing everything up because we're going by the facts that you gave us. We don't
quite go that far. We're pretty those people. So.
Well, but we're not subjective. We don't do what we want or we think.
Perhaps you could come up with these are the city's positions on warehouses, gas stations. This is our general plan statement, and this is why we have taken this position. A PR communication.
Yeah, unless we want to all discuss it, I think you could probably handle that in another presentation section and put everything up there. So that would be my suggestion. Do the same thing, but just have them do it in presentation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fair. It's not fair to they don't even know why a builder comes here or a developer. They don't even know why they have the amenities they have or we have. So anyway, that'd be great. Do a presentation. What do you think, Orlando?
And we can bring back something as a presentation at a future meeting.
Is that a future agenda or just a presentation?
Yeah.
Well, same thing, isn't it?
No.
It wouldn't be on the agenda?
Well, it's on the agenda as a presentation, but it's not an agenda item.
In other words, we're not taking any
Discussion
action.
item, right.
Yeah. Good.
He's going to come in and make a presentation.
Got you. We're not going to.
Not that you don't have enough to do, but,
Well, I think it'd be good for everyone.
yeah.
There's fallacies. How do warehouses ruin the environment? How do 18-wheelers tear up streets? They don't tear up the freeway. How do you put that thought into, before you got it on your you've already thought about that. So we're just, people need to see that these items have been addressed and are being addressed. So that's that.
No, I think that'd be a good idea.
Right, Alberto, did you have a different street section for warehouse access?
No, we have one in our street that we have local streets, major streets.
Right. So you have, what's the width of the section for 18-wheeler?
It's depending on the traffic index, it's depending on the soil that's in there, so, but we have minimum standards.
So residential is like 2/6, 2 inches of pavement over 6. Yeah, and so the section for the,
Chairman Ray, that would be some information that we can add as part of the presentation as well.
okay. Okay, well, all right. Yeah, right. Okay, guys, so that's it. Adjourn this meeting at 6:41.